and welcome. It's Thursday evening, which means one thing. It's time for the Tier 1 division here. And joining me, as always, for what will be a very exciting race around Canada is Stryfium. Stryfium, how are you tonight, my friend?
I am really excited. We've been waiting for Tier 1 all week now. We've already had 3 great races here around Montreal. Of course, Tier 3, Americas, and then Tier 2 yesterday. Now we have Tier 1, and then we have APAC Sunday. But Tier 1, well, this is a grid that has been providing us with a lot of intensity all season long, and now we're here in Canada where we've already seen a ton of action. So I'm really excited for this one. Home GP, of course. It's going to be a fun time.
Yeah, and one thing I think that's going to be playing on all of the drivers' minds tonight, Striff, is that chance of rain. We've seen it all too frequently this week. I think the drivers will be thinking, but for us, it's been a spectacle and just brilliant to watch.
Definitely been a brilliant race to watch. Of course, it's an intense track. We've had rain in quali, we've had rain in the races, we've had safety cars, we've had pretty well everything that you can have thrown at you in racing action this week already around Canada, and we haven't even gotten through to the final 2 races of the week of Tier 1 and APAC. But today we're going to jump into this race, and it is going to be very, very intense. I do believe we have the entirety of the full-time grid here with the exception of 1 reserve. So it's going to be a good one. I actually want to see more rain personally. I think it would be fun to see once again.
Well, we had the whole start of the season completely dry, and then Canada this week just seems to have thrown everyone into just this wet nightmare for the drivers, and it's been, like we said, so fun to watch. And we've seen a lot of tire strategies play out, and that's been a huge just sort of deciding factor in a lot of these races. Penalties haven't played too much of a role, at least not the role we were expecting them to play when we came into this, but the wet weather has really just sort of changed it. I wonder whether because of that we've seen less penalties than we would in the dry, because obviously in the dry you can push that a little bit harder, you can really go for those faster lap times, and that's when you're trying to maximize the track limits, that's when you pick those penalties up.
Yeah, penalties in Canada, exceeding track limits, corner cutting, they can definitely play a role at the end of one of these races with that safety car element as well. It's going to be interesting to see how these Tier 1 drivers really tackle the circuit Gilles Villeneuve today in Montreal. I'm excited. I'm also nervous because yesterday in Tier 2 we had 4 safety cars through that race, and it was a dry running campaign. So it was a big train throughout that race. We saw so much shuffling. Today is going to be a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. And, well, last week, Tier 1, a few of the drivers who we've seen at the top of the standings struggled. I worked it out before the race. 4 of the top 5 failed to score points, 3 of them DNFing. Ace Ritchie, the only one in that top 3 to actually finish the race. He came second, of course, but Valu, Paris, both failing to finish. Shenjie, DNF and Brainstew finished outside the points. So a very dynamic race last week, and with how these Canada races have been going so far this week, I think tonight we're going to see nothing different in terms of the dramatic aspect. But before we load in, we should just be about ready to go here. I think the drivers are slowly readying up. A huge shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. If you're looking for a sim racing rig, then be sure to check them out in either the link in the chat or the panels down below. They're doing excellent stuff for the sim racing community, and we'd be gratefully thankful if you went and checked out their products. But with that being said, it looks like everyone is readying up. We're about to get that race underway, so a big thank you to everyone watching as well right now. The support always means a lot, and well, we're about to start a very dramatic 18-minute qualifying session, Striff.
Yeah, it's going to be a very intense showdown here. You and I in a little bit of a role reversal. I'll be the invite man, I think, today during this broadcast. So if anyone has any issues, it'll be, I think, me trying to get them in. But we do have now 20 seconds counting down here in the lobby before we jump into 18 minutes of qualifying ahead of 35 laps.
Yeah, 35 laps. It's a short lap, but that just the sheer number of times you go around the track here, it makes the race feel longer for the drivers than maybe it would be. And obviously if rain slows us down, then that obviously plays a role in how long it feels like for the drivers. But we are loading in we do have that session underway, and well, qualifying around here, not quite as important as it has been in the previous weeks. Monaco, Baku, obviously, but still not the easiest circuit to overtake on. Obviously, France next week, that's when the tracks really start to open up. There's still a lot of imposing walls around here, but a little bit of grass at the side that gives them a little bit of leeway, and obviously some runoffs through the tight chicanes, but
well, there's definitely some walls around here, and one wall in particular we're going to be talking about, I think, more than once through this race, is the iconic Wall of Champions just on the exit of the 13-14 chicane. Now, there are a great number of chicanes here in Canada in comparison to some other circuits. Of course, I do believe we can go ahead and call it 4 chicanes in Canada. You have 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then, of course, 13, 14. So definitely going to be interesting to see how the chicanes play through once tire degradation comes into the equation. We've seen drivers struggle through that 3-4 chicane on exit. They bash that right-hand wall, lose that end plate. Chat now coming through. They're letting us know the rain will not be on the menu today, which I imagine is going to be a massive sigh of relief for this grid.
Yeah, for the drivers in particular, that one is a very welcoming decision. You know, I think obviously dynamic weather, always the roll of the dice, and well, the dice a little bit stacked in the house's favor here around Canada with that weather forecast. I think it looks like Vexit might be the first one out of the pit lane. He is in the racing point, but yeah, a dry race. That's exactly what these guys will have been hoping for. Unless, of course, you do get a few people who thrive in that wet weather.
Well, we've seen a few drivers thrive in wet weather. One of them I'll talk about was Godwin. He had some very strong qualifying pace. He took a podium as well on Tuesday. So he's been showing us, you know, he likes the wet weather. There's a few drivers that I always talk to and they say, oh, I want rain, because they really know that they have an edge in those conditions. But it just hasn't been dropping down here through season 4. We've had 2 rain races, one of them being last Thursday for Tier 1 through Baku, and then it was Tier 3 this week, and that's the only wet running we've had. Vexit will be the first person to set a lap here, but Valu, of course, he was leading the championship and he had that issue in Baku. He will be looking to bounce back with a great performance today in Canada after that retirement early on in Baku, but it will be Vexit, the SMM driver, now the racing point, taking us through a lap here of Canada, coming down into turn 1, utilizing all of that inside curbing, a little bit of a tap through the inside curb through 2. Now we come down, getting on the power into the braking zone here. Right-hander, left, right. This is the 3-4 chicane, right-hand wall there, a real end plate removal system. And then we come out of the right-hander of turn 5 into the left-right. This is the chicane of 6 and 7. Coming out here, you can lose traction quite easily, snap that car, lose the front end into the right-hand wall. Now we come down the straight. This is the 8-9 chicane. Coming out of the 9 turn here, right here, you can lose a little bit of traction. You can find yourself on the left-hand side. The chicanes here, very tricky. On the way down into turn 10, now the hairpin. Nice, deep hairpin here. You can go 2 wide. Sometimes we've seen it 3 wide. Good exit here for Vexit. This is a nice lap so far, but he has traffic ahead as he makes his way, tapping through the near-invisible turns of 11, 12, down into the casino straight. It will be the 13-14 chicane waiting for him with the Wall of Champions. Here we go. Good utilization of the 13 inside curbing there. Very fortunate no invalidation occurred, and there it is. It's a 107.8 as provisional pole here for the racing point.
Yeah, 107.598. That's not too far off of the track record. Mikau coming across in the chat to inform us that it is a 107.5 right now. I imagine, given that Paris is in the top 2,000s of that integer, that he'll be not beating that, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw someone beat it here tonight with a 107.5 on the board, less than 4 minutes into the session. Tim, a 108.8 in the Haas. Currently the standings leader, Valu, right now in the Red Bull. He's coming through the turn 10 hairpin at the top of this lap. Shenjie, a 107.6. Now DRS for the Red Bull coming through turn 12 down towards that ever-famous Water Champion chicane. I think that was Dayson. He's just hopped into P5, a 108.7 for him. Right now, here we go. Valu to the line. So 107.9 for the Red Bull driver, just behind Vexit and behind Paris and Shenjie as well.
Another driver to the line here. Brain Stew goes 5th quickest. It's a 108.380. Looking to see who else might be coming through. There is a Racing Point on the move. That's going to be Vexit coming into the pit lane. Next up is Domi on his way down through into the 13-14 chicane now.
Yeah, we've got a couple of drivers on a flyer. There goes Domi. A 108.4 for the Ferrari driver. Sindaku, he's coming through the hairpin. We've also got Alex Bitter. He's not too far behind in the Mercedes. I think Milan as well might be flying in that Haas, not too far up the road from the Racing Point. He's just come out of turn 14. We'll see what he can do. We'll see what Sindaku can do here. Milan obviously invalidated somewhere around his lap. Sindaku, he opts into P5. Both Racing Points in that top 5 at the moment. Let's have a look. Bitter, his teammate, not here tonight, but he's invalidated his first run in the Mercedes.
Yeah, that final chicane can be tricky as well. It looks like Bido now is going to be starting another run, as did Milan in the Haas. So we'll see what these drivers are able to put forth. Microlander is also on a run. I do believe Milan will be the first driver to set a new time here. The Haas driver just coming out of the 8-9 chicane into the turn 10 hairpin.
Yeah, already we've got some nice tight grids forming, and well, Microlander, he's ending his lap with an invalidation, like you said. Milan, he's going again. Alex Bido as well. I think the Spaniard is also going around once more on these older tyres. Here comes the Haas through the final chicane. Not quite utilizing all of the curb on the exit, but down to the line with the DRS wide open. It's P5 for the Haas driver, just knocking Sindaku down a spot of 107.9 from him.
Microlander will not be able to do anything with the current lap, but he is coming out of the chicane, and I think he might be beginning another run here. And yes, he is. So he will have to go around again.
Well, I don't know what happened to Alex Striff, but he not only did he invalidate, he also had a bit of his front wing missing. So really struggling right now in the Mercedes. As Dougie Falcons, he's coming down to the 13-14 chicane. Again, not using all of the curb on the exit, just avoiding that wall of champions. And it's P10 for the McLaren driver. Yoda, Brownie, both the Williams flying around now. Brownie, the lead of the two at the moment. The track map going purple in Sector 2. We'll have to see whether that's representative of the time we get when he crosses the line. Slipstreaming the Haas right now.
Yeah, this is a really good opportunity for Brownie here, and he's going to have to utilize this nice and clean through the 13-14 chicane here. It's actually quite clean, and as he comes out now, let's see what the time is going to be. Is it good enough to get up into the top 5? There it is. It's a 107.952, and he gets himself into that 5th slot. His teammate Yoda now is coming behind him, not too far behind, coming into the 13-14 chicane. The other Williams, it's an invalidation unicorn, and you know what that means. It means that he will not be able to set another run immediately after either, because it blows the present lap and the future lap on invalidation through the 13-14 chicane. Danny Coe, reserve driver today, sitting in for Mr. Lil Blotel over at Mercedes. He's coming out of the 6-7 chicane now, and he is purple out of Sector 1, so we'll see what he's able to do.
Yeah, one person to talk about that, Ace Ritchie. He was getting a really nice slipstream from Dougie Falcons, but he's invalidated his lap somewhere else, so it's going to mean nothing for the McLaren driver freeware right now. He's flying in the AlphaTauri. His teammate right now, Shenjie, in P2. Can the German driver beat that? He's actually missing an end plate. I don't know where he lost that, but that is unfortunate. It looks like he might still be pushing here in the AlphaTauri. I'm not sure if he's just trying to get back to the pits as fast as possible, but very unfortunate for him.
Shenjie just beginning his lap. Freeware with that front right end plate missing is going to follow through, and I think set this time. Yep, P13, a 108.683 for him. We take a look at Danny Coe now, as he was not able to get a time on the board, and he will not be able to go for another run. And it looks like it was that pesky 13-14 chicane.
It was indeed, and like you say, it's the worst place to invalidate a qualifying lap because it doesn't just invalidate the current one, it invalidates the next one. And that's a huge problem for the drivers who do it through there, because Canada, it's a short track. You do get a fair amount of opportunities to qualify in this session. But at the same time, you want to utilize as many of those opportunities as you can. What we're witnessing now, just ahead of Shenji, is the Renaults and little toe coming out of the pair of them. ZZ9 Fraser, we've seen that time and time again, Striff, all the way back to club division and, well, CFR before that. But here we go, Shenji now to the line. Can he improve on his 107.6 to the line? It's a 107.469, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is a new track record for the AlphaTauri driver.
Shenji, I do believe, one of the favorites for victory here in Canada today. He has some incredible speed around here in that AlphaTauri. Valu right now, that Red Bull, it was a 107.899 his first run. He's just coming out of the hairpin now, tapping through turn 11, up through now 12 as we jump in to the DRS zone.
Striff, I nearly saw Sindaku lose the entire car through 13-14, but here comes Valu. He'll be looking to tackle it a little bit more successfully, and he does. Almost perfect through there from the Red Bull driver down to the line. It's another 107.4, and it's just beating Shenji's now. So whatever pole is this evening, it will be the new MRL track record. And, well, Valu now with that crown atop his head. Dason, he's found nearly half a second. It won't be good enough for a provisional pole at the moment, but it's still a huge improvement for the Alfa Romeo. DRS down towards the final chicane. Into turn 13 he comes. He doesn't want to invalidate through here, as we've seen so many do before him. A little bit of a slide, a little bit uneasy on exit, but he does get it round. And to the line, it's an improvement. 6/10 found on 108 flat from Dason.
Very nice time coming out of the Alfa Romeo. Both Ferraris are on flyers. Paris currently third position. Purple through sector 2. He's come out through turn 11 now. Just tapping through turn 12 as the DRS on the rear opens, and now he'll make his way down the casino straight to perhaps undo one of those front row times. The 107.4 is the time to beat, and Paris currently 2/10 off of jumping ahead. We'll see what he's able to do as he crosses the line. It's good enough. It's a 107.344 out of the Ferrari, and that is a new provisional pole time for this session. 6 minutes remaining.
Yeah, what a time coming out of the Ferrari. Milan now in P7 currently. Clips the wall of champions, but he's okay. He's still going to the line. And it's P4 at 107.7. I wonder whether he could have done a little bit better without that incident through the final corner, but still not a bad lap time nonetheless.
Well, he took an end plate off there coming out of 14, and that's not what you want to be doing, but he was able to get a solid improvement regardless. Ace right now, he's coming through the hairpin. One thing to talk about is that he was purple through sector 2. We'll see what he's able to do. Everyone has been struggling with this final chicane. We'll see if the McLarens can get Ace into the front end of this grid. Comes through 13-14. A little bit of a slide through, a little bit of a brush with that outside wall, but it's going to be good enough for fourth position. A 107.602 from Ace.
A few people here finding pace but not finding too many positions. Vexit just jumped Milan, Microlander. I don't actually think he improved in the Red Bull, but he did find a little bit of time, but no positions gained. The result, Fraser coming through the final chicane down towards line walk on the Renault. It's a small improvement, and that puts him into P6. There's a really tight group of people right there in the midfield. You can see Michael and Dason almost identical laps for the pair of them. Then you've got Fraser all the way through Brownie. There's 2/10 separating those four cars. And we've seen trains form around here already over the past week, and obviously in the past as well. Bitto right now, interestingly, he's opted for the medium tyres, and we'll have to see what the Spaniard is capable of on these, but I can't imagine it's going to be too spectacular. And, well, you'd think you just go for softs, and if you start in the top 10, you start in the top 10. If you start outside of them, that's when you start on the medium compounded tyre. But here he comes to the line. What can he do in the Mercedes with the yellow wall tyres? It's P13 on 108.188 for Alexander Bitto.
Well, it's a nice run from him. It's a very solid time on that medium compound tire. Just a tenth off of Dason on the softs. So Bido showing some good pace around here on the medium compound tire. However, I don't know if it was the best call to jump onto that medium compound tire in qualifying. The reason being, well, safety cars, we've seen it this week. They have come out frequently, and, well, you just might want that set nice and fresh. But, well, we'll see what's happening with the Mercedes camp through the race. Now, pretty well everybody in the pit lane here, with the exception of Brain Stew, who's coming through 3 and 4. He is on a flyer in that Alfa Romeo. He is looking to improve on a 108.380. This grid incredibly tight right now. The gap from first all the way down to 19th position, where Freeware is sitting, is 1.339.
Yeah, Brainstew coming through 8 and 9 now. Pretty clean from the Alfa Romeo. And, well, neither in the points right now. Brainstew failed to collect points last week. He's P5 in the standings right now. He's sort of a fair way off, though, of Shenjay and P4. So a nice points finish for him when the leaders didn't finish last week. Would have been brilliant for him, but now getting a little bit of a slipstream off of one of the Ferraris, the sister team for Alfa Romeo. Down into turn 13 he comes. Where is he going to put himself here? 17th at the moment. But with a 3/10 improvement, 11th place for him. And, well, that's a really nice place to start this race. But still 2 minutes 20. And still plenty more lap times to come out.
Alex Bido is on an outlap. He's switched onto the soft compound tires. Or at the very least, I thought he was on an outlap. I thought I had said that he was on an outlap. Odd. Maybe a little bit of a visual issue on my end. Domi in the Ferrari is flying. ZZ9 is flying as well. Who can we find that is on the earliest flyer? I can see Freeware right now on an invalidated lap.
Well, he hasn't been keeping it valid all throughout this evening so far. And, well, that's going to hurt him not only here in qualifying, but penalty striff. When you see a driver who's constantly invalidating their laps in qualifying, that means that they're extending those track limits and they can really pick him up around a track here like Canada. Domi right now, he didn't find too much time. He's on a near identical lap to the one he did prior, but he is going to round it out. He could go again as well if he doesn't see the improvement he wants. The Ferrari driver coming across the line now. It's a 107.8. 1/10 found, and, well, that's good enough for P8. It does slot him into the top 10, and he won't be going around the track again. Valu right now, well, he's had a problem striff, and, well, he's ditched his current lap. We'll see if he goes around again.
Milan coming out of the hairpin. There's so many drivers on circuit now as we are really getting down to the wire of this qualifying session. 50 seconds, the remaining amount of time here. Milan, I believe Paris just ahead of him right now, is about to begin. Milan goes 6th. He improves by just shy of a 10th of a second. He's good enough to jump Fraser there. Fraser, however, is on the move. Then again, he's invalidated.
And judging by where that Renault is, he's not got time for another lap here. Paris down through sector 1. There's a racing point in the grass, very deep. And Danny's off. Danny's had a huge issue here. That Mercedes has spun round coming out of turn 7. Well, I don't think it's hurt Paris's lap at all, but it might have distracted him for a brief moment. But here comes the Ferrari on 107.3. His personal best. Valu a 107.4 behind him. Doesn't look like he will be improving in the Red Bull unless he goes around again on these older tyres. Shenjay, Ace Ritchie, they've still got times to put on the board, but there goes Shenjay at 107.328, just about hits Paris to the post. Can Paris answer to Shenjay's call now through the final chicane? Goes the Ferrari driver. There's an end plate on the track there, but it's not going to stop Paris now to the line. What is it going to be? A 107.307. He just beats Shenjay's time. Ace Ritchie now, he's found a fair chunk of time through the opening section, but he invalidates coming into turn 13. Vexit is the only other one, I think, who could do this with a slipstream into the chicane. He's found it valid. A little bit of a correction coming out of 13 into 14. Can he find pole? He can't, but it's P2.
Oh,
it's very close.
He was so close. He was so close. I think had he not had that correction coming out of 14, we might just be looking at a Racing Point on pole position, but wow, was it ever tight between Paris and Vexit here. 4 milliseconds separating the two on the front row for this one.
That is a very tight front three, tight four if you want to go outside of the 107.3s, but what a qualifying session, Striffen. This is... It may not be a wet race, but it's shaping up to be just as entertaining.
Well, the top 4 cars right now, they are separated by 0.125, essentially a tenth of a second separating the top 4 drivers on this grid right now. It was 4 milliseconds separating the front row here. Paris on pole position in the Ferrari. Vexit will line up next to him in the Racing Point, and it's Shenjie, the reigning Tier 1 champion, who will line up third in the AlphaTauri for this one. Valu and Ace, 4th and 5th respectively. Of course, we'll go down through the rest of this grid with you on the formation lap. What a gap we are seeing in this grid. We had such a dynamic qualifying, multiple drivers struggling with invalidation. Now we're coming into, well, it's time. 35 laps around Montreal. It is Tier 1, round number 9. And I am beyond excited for this. Of course, big shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. Check them out via the link in the chat, and of course the panels down below for some awesome simulation rigs and gear on their site. They're really helping out with sim racing moving ahead. So check them out. Next Level Racing, guys. They're really a great bunch of guys.
Jeff, I think the lack of the wet weather there in that qualifying session has provided something a little bit different here, in terms of just the fact that we've seen, just these guys hammering everyone on the same tire, obviously on that soft compound, and that's created this super tight gaps in that qualifying session, and also presents the diverse strategy, whereas with the wet qualifying, you see everyone start on the mediums if the race is dry. Here, we've got the top 10 on the softs, and then I imagine we're not going to see a single red wall outside of the top 10. We'll have to take a look, though. There might be one rogue driver. And there is. Dougie Falcons.
He is the one lone wolf outside of the top 10 who has opted to go onto the soft compound tire. Very interesting choice from the McLaren. Very interesting choice. But we will see how it works out for him through this race start. Paris, Vexit, Shenjie, your top 3. Valu, 4th. Ace in 5th. We have Milan in 6th. Dason 7th. Fraser in 8th. Domi in 9th. With Microlander rounding out the top 10 on the softs. Yoda and Brownie 11th and 12th for them in the Williams squad. Brainstew 13th. Bido 14th. We have Tim there in 15th with ZZ9 right behind him in the Renault. Sindako 17th lining up with Dougie, as we said, right behind him in 18th position. Freeware and Danico bring out the rear on the 10th row.
Yesterday, Striff, we saw Jones, I believe, start outside the top 10 on the soft compound tire, and he finished on the podium. So as much as it is an unorthodox strategy with the safety cars, if they fall in the right way, then Dougie Falcons could be on for a nice race here. But everyone else on the soft tires in that top 10, everyone outside of it, apart from the McLaren, on the mediums, and that creates basically just 2 pit windows for the separate strategies. Unless, of course, anyone's going to try that one stop. It's a little bit difficult here around Montreal, but that doesn't make it impossible. Most people, they opt for that 2 stop, either the medium soft or the medium soft, depending on their strength in tire wear. And front wings coming off safety cars, of course, play a huge role. And put your predictions in chat how many we're going to see as these drivers get lined up on this grid. You can see there, Freeware, Danny just getting themselves into those last couple of slots on that back row.
Well, there we go. There's that last second shuffle. The engines are revving. The lights are coming on. It's 4, 5 red lights here in Montreal. The engines are revving. And there it goes. The lights are out. And we are racing here in Canada for round 9. Vexit looking at Paris Shenjie already with a decent exit here. How's everybody coming into turns 1 and 2? So far, everyone keeping things nice and clean. Not too much exchanging right now. It looks like Brainstew has made it ahead of, at the very least, one driver. That is Brownie. who has been taken for position, as now Shenjay has had a major issue as Ace and Milan have moved ahead of him onto the rear of the Red Bull. Ace and Milan wheel to wheel as we come through turn 7. Now Shenjay looking for good traction on the exit. Milan looking for that McLaren. It is a huge drag race into this 8-9 chicane for these three drivers. Meanwhile, further back down the grid, it's wheel to wheel between Domi and Dayson. Dayson not able to do anything just yet with that Ferrari as Yoda is breathing down his neck coming into the hairpin. And my, oh my, what action we're seeing here on the opening lap of this one, Unicorn.
Yeah, and well, like you said, Bido, Yoda now down into P12. There's been a lot of exchanging. Fraser got very skew with, while Shenjay, Ace, Milan were flying ahead of him. He just got super unsettled coming out of what I think was turn 7, but he managed to catch the car. He's still with them here as Domi. He's all over the rear of Microlander coming down the start-finish straight. I don't think he's going to have the pace for a lunge down into turn 1. Obviously, a pretty risky move at the best of times, but look at this train. From Ace all the way to Domi, the cars are pretty much bumper to bumper, and Milan's not too far ahead either. But the front three, we've seen it before in these races. And run away, Domi spun! The Ferrari is pointing the wrong way. And everyone getting past nicely cleanly because he's pretty much stopped dead off the racing line, but down all the way to P20 for him. That is not how he wanted to start this Grand Prix out.
Well, no visible damage on that car until he had an issue getting back on the throttle. And once he got back on that throttle, that car just swung around into the wall. And now here we have a VSC deployed as a result. Not a good start for, at the very least, one of the Ferraris. We're witnessing both Ferraris at both ends of the grid right now, and Domi, I don't think he's too happy right now.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't be 11 places down from where he started this one. Damage on that front wing. He's got to come into the pit lane. It's not a full safety car, so he's going to lose even more time. And, well, he needs a safety car to come out quickly if he's to get any advantage. And, well, Microland is into the pits, as is Shenjay. They're taking advantage of this VSC. It's not a full safety car. It's not quite as beneficial, but we'll see how it works. It's hard for the Red Bull. Yoda.
Yeah, that's not good. He's just taking a drive-through penalty.
That's going to cost him big time in that Williams. And, well, having a look on board behind him. Brainstew, Tim, Dougie Falcons making good use of those softs. He's up into P12. You can see Brainstew dancing all over the rear of Yoda right now. The medium starting to already get into that top 10. Here goes Dougie Falcons, the soft tires. You can see Tim there struggle out of turn 7. Down into 8 goes the McLaren, and what a move for him. Just picking off the Haas. The soft tires really working out for him.
Brainstew looking at Yoda now. He's looking at him for that inside into the hairpin. He gets on the rear of the Williams nice and tight. Almost gave him a little bit of a lub tap through turn 10. Yoda with that drive-through penalty. The question is, will he serve it now? Brainstew has a drive-through penalty as well, so both of these drivers are having a drag race to see who's going to come into the pit lane first. Brainstew. Oh, no. Well, Yoda's gone into the rear of Brainstew as we came through the chicane. Brainstew opting not to serve that drive-through penalty immediately. Yoda on his way into the pit lane now will take damage. Well, he's going to have to get his wing replaced, a fresh set of tires, then come in and then serve another drive-through.
Well, that's so unfortunate for the Williams. It just went bad to worse. Obviously, you don't just want to be rear-ending someone like that into the pit lane, but I wonder whether he just expected Brainstew to be coming in as well, and maybe that sort of expectation, that assumption there is what's cost him the damage right now. The front three still very tight. Value looking at Vexit, who's failed to make a move on Paris, but he hasn't dropped out of that DRS range, but he is looking a bit shaky coming out of turn 10. Can the Red Bull take advantage of this down this long back straight? Both have DRS. Vexit being saved a little bit by the Ferrari ahead, but if Value can keep piling on this pressure, it's not going to be long until that racing point drops out of that 1 second range of the Ferrari.
Everything's so tight through this grid right now. I was just looking at Sandako tight to the rear of Danico, but Danico has his own plans. He's looking at Tim. Tim right now in 11th position on the rear of Dougie Falcons. Of course, Dougie on those softs, sticking well with Brainstew. Brainstew gonna have to come in to serve that drive-through. So Dougie net P9 at the moment.
Yeah, and like you said, it's super tight to this group. We've got 2 main trains right now, plus the top 3, and then a few drivers just sort of on their own. But this train in the midfield is absolutely huge, and well, DRS enabled. We haven't had a full safety car as of yet, so we've seen DRS enabled for most of this race. Obviously a short VSC, but other than that, nothing to write home about right now. Yoda into the pit lane again, or just come out, I think, for serving that drive-through, and he's just behind, just ahead of Domi. And the time into getting a bit confused as to who was ahead there briefly, but Bitto, can he find a way past Dason, the medium tyres? He's the highest runner on that yellow walled compound. We saw him in qualifying, dead set on starting on the harder of the compounds, and well, it's working out for him right now. P8 for the Spaniard. Brainstew, he's in to serve that drive-through as well.
Yeah, stayed out for a couple laps there, Brains too. Really dancing with that drive-through penalty. We've seen it happen before where, you know, a lot of drivers take that immediate opportunity to pit, get rid of the drive-through penalty in case of perhaps a safety car. We've seen it in drivers where they've been DSQ'd. Failure to do, like in failure doing so, you know, they haven't been able to serve those drive-throughs. They get disqualified because the safety car prevents them from serving it. Tim, really with Danny Coe in that Mercedes, breathing down his neck.
Yeah, there is absolutely nothing but Danny in Tim's rearview mirror now, and he's been dancing all over the back of the Haas for pretty much an entire lap now, and through the hairpin they go. Can the Mercedes find anything to get rid of this Haas, who's just being towed along by Dougie Falcons on those soft tyres? He's caught up pretty much to the other soft runners. 3.6 seconds between him and Bizzo. Paris is into the pit lane. Is this just for tyres? I think it is.
This
He's
is
coming
a
in for
major
a very
undercut.
early stop.
This is a major undercut here. Getting off these softs instantly. He is going to come out with a significant amount of traffic. Actually, well, hold on a moment. He might have a little bit of clean air here to really kind of just flow through just the same. I don't think this has really impacted him that much. We'll see how the degradation comes through it. Danny Coe, so tight to Tim as we come through 6 and 7. Bitto on Dason now, also having a look.
Yeah, Dason's on the rear of Fraser. This battle between 5th, 6th, and 7th right now. These three so tight, and when these softs start to drop off, which they will be starting to do, Bitto's pace is going to look like it's skyrocketed as these guys have their tires drop off of that cliff. And well, as they come out of turn 10 through 11 into 12, and DRS again, we're just seeing it. Vexit, Valu, they've just exchanged. I thought it might have been the pit lane, but it's not. The Red Bull, he's gone into the pit lane. He's picked up a 5 seconds for speeding. That is not what we want to be doing. Milan as well. They're responding to Paris. The Ferrari has really stirred up the pot here. We've got Dougie Falcons coming in as well. He's getting off of those softs. We'll see how his reaction to this strategy pays off right now. Ace Ritchie. Don't know if he had an issue which put him right at the front of this train. He wasn't this close before. I think it might just be Fraser's DRS reeling them all in. But look how close these three are on track right now. It is a sight to behold, but who's going to box first?
Well, one thing I want to talk about is the fact that Shenje is on the 5-lap-old mediums right now. He's 1.6 seconds away from his teammate, who's holding on to a major DRS train. Dason Fraser exchange. Who's this? Bitto's there on the inside as well. There's almost 3. It's 3 wide nearly. Dason got 3rd. Bitto and Fraser are fighting. I don't believe there's any damage on any of these cars, but it was tight there for a moment, and I had to really take a second to figure out what was happening. But wow, back to what I was saying, Shenje might be able to pull off Paris here. It's going to be interesting how these two weave through the track. Actually, Paris is catching him extremely quick.
Well, the tires, they're in Paris' favour, but yeah, everyone hopping into the pits right now. Danny, he's just taken Tim for P6, but that's going to go up here, but he loses an M plate.
Yeah.
Through the wall of champions.
Some damage. That's not what he needed at all. Not what he needed at all.
It is what Bitto needed, though, because Danny, he's not going to give up these positions, and he's going to slow this train right down. And look who's just ahead of him, his teammate. Obviously, Danny right now reserving for the Mercedes squad, but this is... Whilst it's not brilliant for him and as an individual, but a team, it might work out a little bit better than if Bitto wasn't in the position that he is. And you can see the huge train behind the reserve driver right now.
Yeah, and this isn't just going to help Bido, but it's going to help a few of these drivers that are outside of this train right now. Speaking of Valu, Milan, the longer it takes Paris and Shenjay to cut through this grid, the more opportunity Valu and Milan will have to really catch up to really get themselves into that fight. And Shenjay, he has a little bit of a door here from Freeware. They're playing with this Ferrari now. They might have screwed this up. Freeware just kind of let Paris through. That I don't know if that was the best way to go about switching positions for these AlphaTauri. Actually, I don't even know if he had a choice. But one thing for certain is that Paris is sitting on the rear of this AlphaTauri Shenjay right now. And there is a very, very significant tire differential. 4 to 5 laps the difference on rubber right now between these two drivers.
Yeah, not only is there a tire difference, but there's a penalty difference as well, Striff. Both of those AlphaTauris have got penalties. Shenjay, 3 seconds. So his name pretty well, I believe it's 3 seconds as well. Valu, the championship leader coming into this race, he's got 5 seconds for speeding into the pit lane. He will probably serve that in a second pit stop, but still, that's going to cost him big time to, well, this Ferrari driver who's been nothing but quick since he joined a little later than everyone else in the season. Meanwhile, Shenjay, he's going to look at ZC9 down into the inside, up through turn 8. Shenjay, the AlphaTauri, picks him off a little bit wide on exit, though, and that could cost him a warning here in Paris. Well, he's bowed his time, and, well, he opts past the Renault as well. Coming down into turn 10, ZC9 might have a little look around the outside, but the Ferrari is going to cover that. Freeware. Yeah, he's going to follow straight through.
Yeah, he was looking up the inside there of ZZ9. I don't think he had enough of an exit to get anything done just yet, and this might have really, really allowed Valu to bring himself within a striking distance of those front runners. If he's able to clear Freeware and ZZ9 with ease, that's exactly what he needs, and this train is in huge formation right now as Fraser and Microlander exchange. Fraser into 13.
Paris on the inside of turn 1 with Shenjay. They're side by side coming through turn 2. This is huge for the outcome of this race. I don't know if Shenjay's got the exit he needs here because Paris is hammering that ERS button down, and he has got the move on the AlphaTauri. Very nicely done. Down into turn 3 from him. And with no penalties and the pace he's got at this stage of the race, Jeff, Shenjay has got his work cut out if he wants to stand on the top step this afternoon.
Well, Sindako coming out of turn 7 right now. He's putting this car in Paris's way quite well, just to really keep this train in formation. Shenjay could have another look at Paris as everybody has a little bit of a shake coming out of turn 9.
Dirty air, it's not a myth, and the drivers in this train will really be feeling it right now. And, well, Tim doing a good job to hold these guys up. Valu, Freeware, the German has picked up the place from the Red Bull, but Valu's not done with him yet. He's got DRS, he's got ERS, and he's going to steam back past the AlphaTauri driver. Very nicely done from Valu there, down into 13 and 14.
Milan does not want to let Valu go either. He really needs to keep up with him here. Tim and Sindako have exchanged now. Paris on the rear of this exchange. The more fighting happening in front of Paris, the worse if he's not able to clear through it with Shenjay on his rear.
You can see Paris is so much faster than Tim, and Sindaki right now, he's running away a little bit from the Haas driver in Paris. He's looking up the inside, waiting for Tim to run right. Freeway, he's lost another position. He's side by side with Milan. He's off into the grass. The AlphaTauri drops into P10, and this could cost him behind to Ace Ritchie on these softer medium, on these fresher mediums, sorry. Who is getting ready. Paris now, he's finally found a gap on the Haas driver, and he's putting car after car between him and Shenjay. And Shenjay almost running into the road. Tim just getting his AlphaTauri stopped before turn 10. But Paris on a real charge.
Valu really wanting to clear through some traffic here. We're finally seeing Vexit jump into the pit lane here as Bido will take lead of this race.
I wonder if Vexit's going for the one-stop strip. It seems like a bit of a stretch, but... Or at least a soft, medium, soft. Just on the based on how long he took those tires.
It's not easy. Definitely not easy. Microlander gets brain stew coming into turn 1. Fraser took a position coming through 13-14, and now it's going to be Vexit coming out just in front of Fraser here.
Yeah, we've still got these trains. Alex Bido right now, 7 seconds in lead of this one as Paris has got a nice look at Sindaku here. I don't think he's got the speed just about to get him down into turn 8, but the Ferrari, he's looking so good. Shenjay hasn't found a way past Tim yet, but he might just have. Up the inside, he's looking for it down into turn 10. The Avatari on the inside has a little bit of contact between the two. No damage on either of them visibly. Can Valu find a way past? He can't, but Shenjay has, and he's now, again, once more tailing the Ferrari of Paris just ahead of him. Paris, well, he hasn't found a move on Sindaku, and he's got less battery drift. So Sindaku right now, really nice pace in that racing point.
Yeah, he's showing a really good form right now in the cockpit of that car. Paris not able to do much right now about the Italian. Now he's got Shenjay just sticking with him, and this whole train is following him. Every move Paris makes, the train is there, and it's not easy to shake. Definitely not easy to shake, and his opportunity to really shake this train would have been a lot earlier, because now he's 7 laps on these mediums. He's been doing work on these mediums, and we've had an issue. It would appear there's been a retirement in the pit lane. That's going to be Danny Coe. And he will now be finished in this race. So we are down to 19 drivers. Not entirely sure as a result of why. There goes Paris through 8 and 9, getting the move done on Sindaku.
Who's that? I think Brainstream might have had an issue. He's in the grass. He's the wrong way. He's reset the track, but there's a lot of damage on that car. Valu, Tim exchanging through the hairpin. Valu right now, MP5 just out of the Haas driver. Has he got the pace to defend? Tim has got his teammate all over his gearbox as well. He's having a look. Try to get back. I think he's just let past Milan to go and have a fight with Valu just ahead of them through into the Champions chicane. Milan, he picks up a 3-second time penalty ahead of them. Shenjay looking all over the rear. Sindaku for a move down into turn 1. Can he be late enough on the brakes of the racing point? He can't. Sindaku just putting that car exactly where he needs it. Ace Ritchie, he's found a way past him. Tim on these 14 lap old mediums really struggling right now. Shenjay, he's lost the position to Valu strip. This is huge. Shenjay is really struggling for pace right now compared to Paris, and not only to Paris but also to the cars around him. And these 12 lap old mediums, the old mediums drift, they're pretty much done for in terms of pace.
Well, I imagine Valu getting a little bit frustrated right now that Paris has pulled out a gap, and now we've had a big retirement. What's happened? It's Ace Ritchie. Ace is out. The VSC has been deployed. Coming out of turn 7, there is a retired McLaren on track in the middle of the circuit.
Well, that was absolutely massive shift. The car's just spinning with its suspension broken, and well, he's not going to be happy about that one.
Well, this is good for Biddo. Biddo's more than likely going to come in here. No, he's actually staying out. He's staying out under VSC.
Oh, he's going to beat the safety car. Oh, it's a VSC. Yeah, that's why.
Dougie just took a drive-through for speeding in the other McLaren. So the McLarens are really having a day today, it would seem.
Well, that was a monumental incident and only a VSC. I'm amazed. I was so just dead set on the fact that that was a safety car because of the size of the incident. I was really surprised to see Bitter just breeze past the pit lane, but you know, he's well and truly tuned into this race and realizes, you know, he didn't see the crash. He's just focusing on what he's doing and the way he's going. It looks like he's shaping up for a one-stop here, Striff, and it's a risky strategy, but if he can get it to work. Valu now on Sindaku, looking up the inside down into turn 8. We've seen this move a couple of times from a few drivers tonight, and well, it's been executed well time after time, and it's a really nice looking move as well. It's a nice corner to get it, and Paris right now running away from this pack nicely as well.
Yeah, he's starting to gain some good time on Biddo, but as you said, Biddo potentially on the one-stop strategy here, and that would be quite good for him, seeing as how he's been in lead of this race for a good chunk of time now. All these drivers behind him battling. Vexit getting ZZ9 into the chicane at the end of the lap.
Well, Vexit's on a nice strategy, Striff.
The strategy differential on this grid is massive. Look at all the different tire life.
Yeah, look at Vexit's tires. 4 laps old right now, and well, they're going to be working well and truly, possibly to the end of this race. Again, I think he's going to take softs towards the end. Maybe, you know, banking on a safety car to make that pit stop a little bit less of a burden in terms of time. But still, a really nice strategy right now coming out of the Racing Point squad. And we'll have to see how that one progresses. Shenjay tight to the rear of Vexit's teammate Sindaku, and he's also got the pass of Milan behind him on these slightly fresher mediums, and Vexit isn't too far behind. Shenjay having a look up the inside of turn 10. Sindaku on the outside. We've seen the traction on that outside line is so much better, and there you go. You just see Sindaku outdrive Shenjay in terms of the power output, and then Shenjay DRS ERS breezes past Milan as well. They've both mugged Sindaku here. Milan, Shenjay side by side as they go down into the chicane. Shenjay just about ahead. Milan backing out a little bit. Sindaku's really hurting for pace right now. I imagine he's going to let his teammate pass here. A little bit of team orders coming out of the Racing Point squad down into turn 1. It's not going to make that one difficult for Vexit to go and fight with the two guys ahead.
Fraser now on the rear of Sindaku. Major tire differential here. Sindaku also on his starting mediums, really starting to drop off versus Fraser, of course. And as this train still holds a bit on the rear of Shenjay, he keeps going for very opportunistic moves into hard braking zones, and it has cost him a lot of time overall. Milan nearly had him into that 13-14 chicane. It's not the first time this race he's nearly been mugged because of an opportunistic move. So we'll see if he's able to get it down now, but he's doing what he's got to do. He's got to take these risks. He needs to push through this grid as fast as he can, and he's going to try to make those moves.
It's all a case now, I think, for some of these drivers as to when to come into for the softs. Shenjay now getting passed by Milan, I imagine. We're going to see a few more overtakes. Dayson, freeware. Dayson going very slowly out of the hairpin as he had an issue in the Alfa Romeo. It doesn't look like there's any damage, but still. Just look at the time difference between him and freeware right now, so not quite sure what's happened there, but for Vexit, for Sindaku in that Racing Point, we see Fraser all over the rear of him right now. Softs, if he can get another 3 or so laps out of those mediums, he should be able to take a set of softs to the end. And again, the one stop. I imagine it's what Alex Biddo is doing as well, who's losing a lot of time now to Paris behind. He's really getting caught by that Ferrari.
Well, Paris, of course, will have to pit again. Paris, he came in fairly early onto that set of medium compound tires. I think he was one of the first drivers to do so. Danico now leaving the session after his retirement.
Fraser's picked off Sindaku. His teammate CC9 not too far behind, but again, he's doing the same strategy as Sindaku. As the Haas there, I think that the Racing Point, I think that's brain stew, a lapped car it is. And because of the tire difference here, he's a little bit faster. Vexit right now, he's picked off Shenjay. The tire difference again playing a huge role in this race, and Shenjay's in. Mediums to the end. Surely you don't want to take softs for 15 laps. You can, but it seems just super difficult. Mediums,
yeah,
surely
mediums.
it is.
Yeah, mediums for Shenjay. Question is now, Paris, he is really catching Biddo. He is now within that 1 second range, and you can see how much speed he's just carrying on the rear of this Mercedes, even without DRS or battery right now. But he is going to have DRS coming out of turn 7 into turn 8. Less than half a second the gap now.
Yeah, and well, Biddo, he doesn't have the luxury Shenjay has. He can't go onto the mediums here. He needs the softs because otherwise he's not going to fulfill that rule of using 2 different tire compounds during a dry race, and that's what's costing him here. As you see Paris just all over the rear. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get it here, which I think he will. Look at the drive. Even before DRS, the Ferrari was moving so much quicker than Mercedes. Alex knows it. He's just letting the Ferrari by. Doesn't want to lose time to battling. Doesn't want to lose the tire wear. He's still staying out. He can't pit yet. I think he's still got to do another couple of laps. Vexit picks off Milan for P4. And that is Valu in the pit lane. 12 laps he's done on those mediums. He's going to get another set, but he's got to serve the 5-second penalty that he picked up earlier in the race for speeding in the pit lane. Brainshoot, he's retired in the pit lane.
Yeah, he took a 3-second on the way in. I think his intention was probably to retire that car on his way in. Yoda, he's just taken a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, and this race has really not gone extremely well for these Williams guys today. And we've got a yellow coming up through Sector 1. I'm not entirely sure what that is. I think it just might be Brainstew's car coming out of that pit lane on the heels of Dougie Falcons.
Shinji right now on the fresh rubber, and well, he'll be happy that he's on the the nice end of the stick this time. He's been hunted by the guys on the fresher mediums. Now it's his turn. He's going past Dason now into turn 10. He's on the outside line. He knows that this is where he's going to find the traction on exit, but a little bit of a bump might have cost him a little bit of time here, but he still gets past the Alfa Romeo here of Dason and up into PLO, and his teammate up next, Freeway in P10 on 8-lap-old soft, so it won't be too long until we see him hop into the pits for another set of tires as well.
This really has been a race of strategy right now. ZZ9 Microlander fighting through turns 1 and 2. We have not had a full safety car in this campaign. We're on lap 22 out of 35. We've had a couple of VSCs. Or was it just the one VSC? No, it's been 2 VSCs for certain, because Bitto might have had an opportunity to pit.
Yeah, one VSC and one very short VSC. It was over in the blink of an eye. A big shout out to Sam in the chat for subscribing. For Primer, massive shout out to all of you guys in the chat right now, supporting us, watching along. It's been a crazy race. Like you said, no safety car yet, Striff. Something we haven't really seen this week. Freeware struggling right now as Shenjay's overtaking him and really sliding through 8 and 9.
Yeah, the softs at 9 laps coming through turn 9. Really not the best. Paris is into the pits, so we'll see now where everyone lands. Vexit is on the 9-lap-old mediums, and he will take lead of things for the moment. Milan on his rear.
So if this is really interesting, Bitto followed Paris into the pit lane, and I think that he wants to just use these soft tires to get ahead of the Ferrari. It's his only real opportunity. He can't really do it on strategy alone. He has to do it with pace, but he's got Shenjay in between the two of them. I'll have to see how that factors into this race. Paris come ahead of Shenjay. That's big news for the race, but also that penalty of Shenjay, the penalty of Bitto. Paris is in a really good position right now. Where's Vexit in all of this? He's 10 laps old. Mediums up at the front right now. Can he take them to the end of the race? I imagine he's going to want fresh shots before the end.
Look at this traction coming out of turn 9 right now on the rear of the Williams Brownie. Utilizing everything he's got right now to potentially cost Paris here, but he actually gets on the brakes fairly early. Paris through into 4th now. Not a lot Brownie can do. Of course, 20-lap-old mediums for Brownie right now.
Yeah, it's a lot of laps to put in on the medium tire. I imagine he's going to dive in here. He does. The Williams, again, soft to the end. I imagine Paris up into P3 now. When's Vexit? Apparently, he might be doing a one-stop, but I really don't know if that's the call here. Everyone on fresher tires behind him. If we see a safety car and this grid's already catching him, it might not end well for the Racing Point. So it's risky staying out right now. He's got 10 seconds to Paris in P3. Milan as well. He's on even older tires. He definitely can't go to the end of this race on those. And if he does, he's going to be in a very big risk of a puncture.
Well, I do think Vexit, if he is on those mediums to the end, he could be in a very difficult position at the end of this race. He would be in puncture territory. Vexit also in a good position should a safety car come out. Actually, I think a few more laps and he'd be in a bit of a better position. I imagine everybody would switch to softs.
It depends at what lap that safety car came out, because I imagine the likes of Paris, Shenjay, and Bitto are going to be catching Vexit big time right now. If a safety car came out, let's say lap 30, obviously he's got no penalty, so that would help him in terms of Shenjay and Bitto. His teammates in Darkus just passed Dason down into the chicane. But with everyone pitting right now, everyone on fresher tires, Vexit might drop a surprising amount depending on when that safety car came out. If it came out now, it'd be a dream come true for him. But if everyone's already caught him, that's when problems start to arise. So he's risking it. He needs the next 5 laps to go his way.
This has been such a strategical thriller. Dason now into the pit lane. There's battles unfolding all over track, both on circuit and in the tires. We have a very different picture. This grid's pretty split. We have Tons of softs, tons of mediums right now. Vegs leading this race on 12-lap-old mediums. The big question is he going to win this race? Is he going to be able to hold off Paris, who's on the much fresher rubber? Paris really isn't tearing down that gap massively. It is not coming down, a second a lap. Vegs is showing some good pace right now on these tires. Milan on Valu. Valu not going to be too thrilled about that. That 5 seconds in the pit lane really costing him here as Paris sets the fastest lap of the campaign thus far.
On the Vexit's tires, I really don't see the pace towards the end of this race. Paris is catching a fair chunk. He's caught about 7/10 since turn 10. And there's no doubt about it that he will overtake the Racing Point. In my mind, before, way before the end of this race. So the only thing Vexit's got going for him, no penalties. That's why I think he's staying out right now. That's his saving grace, and that would be a saving grace if there was a safety car as well. But the pace on those tires, if he gets a puncture, it would be, monumental. And we'll just have to wait and see how long his tires last. I think they should get to the end without a puncture, but it's just a case of what sort of pace they've got left in them, Striff. It's going to be a slow strategy, but at the same time, running all across the line slowly in P1 is still P1. And it might be P2 with Paris's pace right now.
Looking at Brownie right now, hunting down ZZ9 for the last points position. ZZ9 on the rear of his teammate here. Both Renaults on fresh softs. Tim and Dougie exchange as Brownie gets ZZ9 as we come into turn 1. So Brownie now into the points paying positions. We take a look at the penalty situation. ZZ9 with 8 seconds, Fraser with 0. Brownie with 3 for those 3 drivers in question. A good chunk of the drivers on this grid, Shenjay, Bido, Milan, Valu, as well as Microline are all with 3 second time penalties. Freeware has 12, Dason has 6. We move down through Dougie, he has 3. Domi has 9 seconds, and Yoda has 3 seconds himself.
Yeah, Yoda and Domi right now. Nice and close on track. The Williams chasing down the Ferrari, and Yoda again. We've seen him out of the points a lot of the time this season. Just really just down on his luck. Just not finding a lot of pace throughout these races. He's a fast driver, we know it, but he just hasn't been able to fully display it so far this season. And someone I expected to be higher in the standings than he is, his teammate Brownie. He's just picked up another point off of Fraser, but Fraser right now, no penalties. We'll have to see how that one impacts him. A late safety car would be a dream come true for the Renault right now. As for everyone else, I think it's just quieting down here, Striff, in the last few laps. We haven't got too many people in close quarters. And, well, there goes Fraser's lack of a penalty. 3 seconds to add to the Renault's race at the end of this one.
That's not what he wanted to do, even remotely.
Oh, so I don't know what happened to Domi there, but he just had an issue through 13, and then he just came on the off-ramp and crashed straight into the wall of champions. So a huge mistake for the Ferrari. Massive damage on the front wing. And we'll have to see what happens there, but he has got to go around an entire lap with no end plates and no top foils on that wing either, on either side. That's huge damage.
That is very, very unfortunate for Domi. He had a good start. He was really in the fight, and then he had that issue, and it's kind of been a back foot race for him, start to finish. Bido, Milan, less than half a second separating these two drivers, and it's 6-lap-old softs versus 4-lap-old softs right now.
Bido in his strategy. It's one we haven't seen too much this week. The one stop, it's not particularly recommended just because of the tyre life here at Canada and how short that pit lane is. You can afford the 2-stop. It's one of the few tracks where under a 50% race we see people try it, and see a lot of people try it. But Bido, he's kept it traditional, the medium soft here. And, well, he's in P4 right now. Penalty to his name, but there's penalties all around him as well. Paris and Vexit right now up at the top. Penalty free. Here goes the Haas driver around the outside, coming out of turn 12 down this long DRS straight. And as easy as you like, picks up P4 away from the Spaniard.
Milan, a little bit of a shake coming out of turn 14 there. Bito saw it, and he's just going to hold as well as he can with this Haas right now. 2.2 seconds behind them. You have Valu in the Red Bull on the 9-lap-old mediums. Microlander has just taken Sindako coming into turn 1. Now here we have Paris. He's within range of Exit now, finally, after the tire differential. And, of course, the big pit strategy difference has come through. Paris now less than half a second. And, well, it was taking some time to break down that gap. Vexit with some good pace, but, of course, the tires on the red Ferrari right now really paying through.
Yeah, the Racing Point right now, he's got a little bit extra in the tank in terms of ERS to defend against Paris, but with the tire wear and the extreme pace that Paris has got, I see no way that Vexit stays in P1 unless Paris picks up a penalty at the tail end of this race and isn't able to pull out a 3-second gap. We'll just have to see how long Vexit can hold him off here and if he can take it all the way to the end of this race. Maybe, just maybe, Paris does pick up a penalty and the Racing Point wins this race. But right now, all the odds seem stacked in Paris's favor. He's got better tires. He does have less ERS, but it's not huge. And, well, he's got DRS to make up for that one. So here we go. The Ferrari's wing is wide open. But again, he's just hanging back a little bit here. I think he's waiting to get a huge run on the Racing Point with the advantage of the tires. We'll probably see it here out of turn 10. And then at that point, there's not going to be a lot Vex can do. He will be a sitting duck for Paris here. A little bit of a lockup. That's not going to help him as they come out. And, well, Vex has got a nice exit, actually. I think he might have used a little bit of ERS given that his battery percentage has lowered. But considering the tire difference is 10 laps between these two, that was a beautiful exit by the Racing Point.
The exit is really showing some good pace right now with these tires. Paris biding his time right now. This entire grid has really started to kind of space itself out, and we're just watching this fight for the lead of this race, the win of this race, come down to it right now. We're on lap 32. Oh, here we go. Around the outside of 5 into 6, 7. There's a big lunge there coming out of Paris. Vexit is going to be overtaken for lead of this race. Vexit, I think he tried to close the door, thought maybe that would have been a little bit shaky. Paris gets that lead of the race from him. And that could have gone, well, that could have gone differently. But we're, I think, happy to see that there was no contact made there.
I don't think that's how Paris would have wanted to do it because, you know, it's just not the best overtaking spot. It's really reeled Shenjie into the fight for this. Obviously, the penalty for the AlphaTauri, but there's still 3 laps. Still plenty of time for these guys at the front to pick up a penalty. So Shenjie is going to keep pushing. Obviously, you know, you want to be as high up this grid. You know, someone could be lumped with a post-race penalty if they've done something wrong throughout this race. So Shenjie is there now. He's not too far out of DRS range. Vexit still just clinging on to that 1 second window. I don't know whether he's going to get it this time, though. Out of turn 10, I think Paris is just too quick, and that's going to cost Vexit to Shenjie behind.
Big shout out to Angel with the Prime sub. Thank you so much, Angel, for coming through and supporting the stream. Everybody who's in the chat, the subs, all the followers, everybody, you guys are what makes this so fun to commentate. Everyone in the chat following along, thank you so much for your support all season long. As Brownie right now, Sindako,
Fraser's
in an
crashed.
absolute grudge match. What has happened to Fraser? Fraser?
He's spun at turn 2. There's no damage, but he's spun it out of turn 2.
Oh, my.
Not what he wants to be doing at all, especially in the late stages. Just dropping out of the points now. And the Renault squad will be lucky if they pick up 1 now. They're in 10th and 11th, but they're so far behind the likes of Brownie here, who are watching dance all over the rear of Sindaku. Not going to get a move down into turn 10. No, Shenjay is attacking Vexit. Vexit's around. He's spun. I don't know if there was contact between the two, but the Racing Point getting it turned around. Milan goes through to turn 3. I don't know if there was contact or it's just those old tires. Here come the rest of them. Bitto, Valu, they're side by side now. The Racing Point might have just cost the Mercedes here. Valu up the inside, down into turn 1 they go. Bitto's tires, 11 laps old. Sauce, they're not going to be feeling brilliant. Valu's won't be feeling great either. But we've only got 1 lap left after this one. And Shenjay could be on for P2. Milan looks like he's good for P3 as well. The Racing Point will be gutted with how that's just gone.
Yeah, that's not good for him at all. When it rains, it pours, I guess, in Canada, as we saw on Tuesday. Exit losing that lead of the race. Now he's into 6th position. Not going the way he wanted it after a great drive on some old tires. Yoda, he's taken 5 seconds for speeding into the pit lane. Not having the race he wanted today.
Yeah, Valu right now. Can he find it past Bitter? Let's have a look at the penalties quickly. They're both 3 seconds, so for track position, it's still key between the pair of these guys. And Valu's got a really nice run down towards the chicane at the end of the penultimate lap for these guys. The lap counter 35, of course, because Paris has crossed the line. But these guys still a lap to go here for P4. Vexit, he's still behind them. So he needs to stay within 3 seconds, and he could still be on for P4 here if he can keep himself clean. He's got no damage from that spin, but the tires, they're just so old. And well, if he gets a puncture, that's what's going to save Valu's P4 right now. Vexit's still got pace over Alex Bitto. It's seen those softs. They'll be dying off as well. So it's close stuff between these 3, but I think Valu just about has it. But I don't think he's going to be able to pull off enough of a gap here. He's got a second to find realistically in pretty much 1 sector. It seems like too much to ask, but anything is possible here. Down through.
Lap 35 now, man. This is where it's all coming down to. Here we go. Paris.
Wow. What a race.
Paris takes the win here in Canada for Tier 1. Shenjay will cross the line second. Milan now in the Haas. 3rd position for him. Valu in the Red Bull will cross 4th. Bitto right behind him. 5th. Vexit will cross 6th and jump into 4th after penalties come through. Valu 5th. Bitto 6th. Microlander will be 7th here. Brownie in 8th. Sindako 9th. And it will be ZZ 9 for the moment, who I do believe will be passed by his teammate in Fraser here for the final point. There it is. What a campaign this was.
Tim, penalty free in P12. I don't think it's going to benefit him here. It is still going to be... Well, he's not caught the checkered flag for some reason. Bit of a weird one there, as no one else seems to be catching the flag. I don't know if we've got some sort of glitch.
There was a host drop at the end of the race. So I don't believe any of these drivers are going to be catching that flag.
I think that might be it for the lobby. I'm not sure if these guys are going to finish the race. Fingers crossed we can get the finishing standings here. But they're not at race pace. This is something we've never seen before, Striv, I don't think. With everyone just cruising around in double digits on the speed odometer, but we do have at least the points finishers, you know, unbroken.
Well, that is unfortunate when the lobby does break like this. You hate to see it. You hate to see it.
Fingers crossed it's just because they're a lap down and the lobby is just assuming that they've got to complete that last lap, and we'll see what happens when Tim crosses the line.
Well, I don't know what to say. We have a countdown. So that countdown, I am assuming, will save us here.
Let's see what happens with the house as well. When he crosses the line, is he going to catch the checkered flag here? Well, Domi leaves the session and everything seems to have just changed, and well, there's Tim picking up P12. I do think that was correct, and well, something's happened. So we are here. Sindaku picks up driver of the day after, well, a very weird ending to the race, but what a race it was. And there we are, Paris P1 once again. He's made up for his unfortunate luck at Baku in that incident, ending his win streak, and there he is back on the top spot. Shenjie in P2, and I believe that's Milan in P3 for the Haas squad after a very, very unlucky ending to the race for Vexit.
That was a handful, and you know what? I have to say that one did not go how I think I expected it to go, but I think I really enjoyed that one. In the end, it was the Ferrari who won it from pole position. Paris Shenjie took it from third position to second here in Montreal, and it was Milan from sixth who finishes third in the Haas. What a race this was. Vexit, what a drive. What a drive from the racing point. He started this race on the front row. He finishes this race fourth. Valu started this race in fourth and will finish fifth. It was Bito from 14th to 6th with the one stop today. Vexit as well on the one stop. We had Microlander in 7th. He started this race in 10th for Red Bull. It was Brownie from 12th. He finishes 8th in the Williams. Sindako also on a one-stop strategy. He started this race in 17th position and came home 9th. Fraser, he started in 8th. He finished it out in 10th, getting that final point. His teammate ZZ9 right behind him. We also had Tim, Freeware, Yoda, Dougie Falcons, Domi, Dason, Brainstew, Ace Ritchie, and Danny Co in it for round 9 for this one as well.
Yeah, really, really nice race. It'll be a very interesting bunch of interviews, I think, with those drivers, Shenjie and Milan. You know, I don't know if either of them expected to be on the podium, particularly Milan with that late spin from Vexit, but just what a race that was. A lot of drama, a lot of strategy. Like you said, the strategy in that one was brilliant, and well, it made it the race that we saw. But with that being said, I think we're just going to wait for these drivers to hop into the commentary for those interviews, and I'm very excited to hear what these guys have to say, because that was one hell of a race. Not only just in terms of the overtakes, we saw some brilliant moves, particularly down into turn 8. You don't see too many down there. But today, everyone was just really utilizing that corner. The run you get out of turn 7, the DRS. It is a DRS straight, and obviously that assists with the overtaking, but you still don't see it all too frequently. But still, very, very interesting to watch and very entertaining.
Just waiting for these guys to get themselves into the interview waiting room. Thank you so much to everybody who has been tuning into the stream today. Of course, massive shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. You can check them out via the link in the chat, and of course the panels down below, or at nextlevelracing.com for some awesome sim racing rigs and gear. They're really helping out the sim racing community, so we hope you guys will join us in checking them out.
Well, at least one driver waiting. We've got 2 now. Fingers crossed we can get Milan as well, see if he's available for an interview. But if not, we do have Shenjie and Paris around for them. But we'll see if Milan is around. Obviously, finishing 3rd place, he would be who we would typically interview first. We'll just give him a couple more moments here to see if he is around. If not, we'll just hop straight in with Shenjie in P2, who is available to interview. And well, that late move on Vexit 25 points. Well, it wouldn't have been 25, it would have been 18 points, but it still would have bolstered his points, almost doubling his total. Only 26 points scored for the Racing Points so far, but very, very interesting stuff. A shame for the
Joining us now is Shenjie for an interview. Shenjie, congratulations on the finish. A very, very intense race here in Canada. Of course, I'm going to let Unicorn take you through the questions as always, but just a congratulations from me. It was a very, very dynamic race today. So congrats from me. Of course, Unicorn, take it away.
Well, thank you, Shenjie. Again, congratulations. What a race. P2. I don't know if you were expecting it. Vexit, obviously, you got him down into the chicane, and then he spun, and obviously with the penalty you had, that sort of put him out of commission for the race. Were you expecting P2 from that one? just talk us through the whole thing, man.
Well, Canada is like the only track I'm good at in this game. Maybe like Australia, Italy. That's about it. So I was hoping to get pole, and I kind of bottled my lap. But yeah, I was running extreme, really low wing setup, so it was really good. It was really good for quality, but not really good in the race. So I was hoping to get pole and try to win the race from there, but once I bottled quality, I was just hoping to get a podium. So I think P2 is the best I could get, because like the Paris's pace was absolutely insane.
Yeah, well, he was lightning fast, but you yourself, you weren't doing it too badly out there. Obviously, like you say, started P3. I wouldn't call that bottling qualifying, but from there, the strategy, a lot of people had different strategies. How, obviously, we didn't see a safety car. Did you plan for a safety car, or what's sort of going through your head when we didn't get that, and how did you manage that strategy all throughout that race?
Well, yeah, I was hoping for not a safety car, because the strategies get really messed up, especially when the safety car doesn't come out the right time. So I'm glad there was no safety car. The first VSC did help me a little bit though, with the because like I had a pretty bad lap one, so the early VSC pit helped me regain positions.
Yeah, well, obviously, a brilliant race here for you, and it puts you ahead of Ace Richie, I do believe, after he crashed out here, and obviously it closes the gap to Valu as well. So, now that you're really being brought towards that title fight, looking towards France, I know you just said this was one of your strongest tracks. How are you looking forward to next week and obviously all the weeks ahead?
I mean, I really like France. I have a habit of getting penalties. Well, I like every track, but yeah, so France just makes it a lot worse. So if I could get a podium at France, that'd be insane. But I think I'll probably just get like mid like all the results I've been getting, like P4, P5, P6, that kind of thing.
Awesome. Well, the consistency has been brilliant. A big congratulations once again, Shenjay, and I'm sure it won't be too long until we see you here in the interview room once again.
Thank you.
Congratulations. All right. Now, I do believe we have Milan. Welcome, Milan, to the commentary booth. Congratulations on your finish. Welcome. Talk us through that race.
Hello, what's up? Yeah, it was a nice race. I started P6, and I knew that I can't race with Paris because he had incredible pace. But I knew that I could get a nice result, and in the end, P3. I'm my first podium in this league, and I'm very happy with it.
Well, congratulations, Milan. Any surprises in this race for you? Were you expecting a safety car?
Yeah, I was expecting the safety car in the first lap, but yeah, I didn't come. Yeah, and that's it.
Well, congratulations, Milan, and well, thank you so much, and perhaps we'll see you again for an interview soon.
Yeah, thanks. Nice race. Yeah, bye.
Okay, and last but not least, of course, and no stranger to the interview room. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Paris, congratulations on another race victory, this time around my home circuit, which gets you special accolades. Congratulations. How was that one for you?
Thanks, man. It's pretty well. That win felt pretty good, considering the last two races weren't optimal, very far from it. But nice to be able to grab like a clean win on track, and would have had it on penalties. And pretty hard fought race.
We saw you where you came in for that last pit stop. You came out, you had a significant gap, around 11 to 12 seconds on Vexit. Was there ever any doubt? Was there any concern, or were you pretty confident that the tires were going to go the way you needed them to?
Well, there's no room for doubts in the middle of a race. So I was just like, head down, do exactly what I can, and see where we end up. But I knew that his tires would die out, and I knew mine would be fine. So I knew mine would guarantee to make it, and I didn't know what strat. I've never seen Vexit strategy before ever in a race. So I didn't know if it was like one of those ones where you can secretly just about make it and sneak the win, or if it was going to be just easy for him.
Well, it was a very, very consistent drive, I think, from you. Any issues through the traffic on that early? That was a fairly was that early for you, or was that kind of when you were planning to come in? Were you trying to undercut someone specifically there? Because we saw you come in, I think it might have been lap 5 to get off that starting tire.
I think it was 6 or 7. I can't entirely remember. But yeah, I did come in pretty early, but that was to make sure you don't get undercut yourself, because the undercut is seriously powerful around here. It can gain up to like 2+ seconds. And I saw with Chenjay pitting early during the VSC, I think he was doing high 10s and we were doing like mid to high 11s, and it was only a matter of time before Chenjay's just passed all of us. And so I had to respond quickly in order to not lose too much ground, but also had to make sure I come out in a gap.
Well, it was a very, very great drive from you today, Paris Unicorn. Do you have any questions for the race winner, the Ferrari driver today?
Well, Paris, another brilliant race. It's been a little while, like you said, there's been a little bit of a speed bump. Monaco, Azerbaijan didn't go your way. Obviously, before that, the 4 wins. Now back on the top step of the podium. Do you think you could return to that run of form you had before the last 2 races?
I think so. I think it's the street tracks don't suit my racing style, and you can't make as many overtakes. And like I'm quite an attacking driver, to be honest. But I think with the return to like some actual racetracks, it's going to benefit me a bit more, and hopefully we can keep it going.
Yeah, absolutely. And one last question. I think, if my maths is correct, you have just overtaken Valu for P1 in the standings. If not, it's going to be very close between you and the Red Bull driver. Now that you're in P1, if I'm correct, do you think you can stay there until the end of the championship?
Hopefully so.
Well, Paris, again, huge congratulations. Thank you once more for taking the time to interview here with us. And, well, with the Monaco and Azerbaijan, the street circuits out of the way, I'm sure it won't be long until we see you here once again.
Thank you.
Well, that wraps up the interviews and the Tier 1 Round 9 action around, of course, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, the Canadian Grand Prix. We have APAC and Formula 2 coming on Sunday. So to tune in for that, Unicorn, well, you'll be handling all that, won't you?
Yeah, absolutely. APAC 6 p.m. SGT, 9:30 p.m. AEDT, or for us in the UK, it's 10:30 in the morning or 11:30 for those in the rest of Europe. But yeah, that's APAC, and then the F2 in the evening, same time as all of our tiered action throughout the week. But so far this week's drift has been absolutely incredible. The Tier 1 race there, I think with the lack of rain, it just presented such a different and a much more unique race compared to all of those guys on the different strategies. The mediums being taken varying distances just made that race super, super interesting from a strategic point of view, and a lot of late lap drama with, Vexit. I'm sure he is going to be absolutely gutted with how that one ended. He looked like he was on for such a strong finish in that racing point, but it just didn't work out for him, especially after P4 in Azerbaijan last week as well. He's on a nice little run of form, but I'm sure he would have been, much, much happier if he finished on the podium. But yeah, what a race that was.
Yeah, it was an absolute thriller. That is going to be it for us, everybody, tonight. We hope you'll join us for APAC coming up on Sunday, of course. And the next week, we make our way over to France. And it's going to be a lot of fun to go around Le Castellet. Of course, Paul Ricard is on the menu, and that is a fun track in itself. And, well, maybe we'll see some rain there as well. Or maybe we'll see some rain on Sunday for APAC. But that's it for me, everyone. And I hope you all have a great night.